I got into another fight today. Oh boy. Another one in Los Angeles. So here's what happened. First, I got off I was on the Metro A train, and somebody in the Los Angeles County is able to track my movements with my A train card. I'm pretty sure that's what's going on. So, County of Los Angeles, they can track your movements with your tap card, the card you use to load funds onto it, and then you get on the bus. There's a computer system that knows you just got on the bus, in Glendale on Brand and Colorado Boulevard or whatever. Or every time you get on the A train or switch trains. That's why they want you to tap every time, so they can know everywhere you go. Kind of like the Chinese Communist Party. Kind of like Gavin Newsom's America. Anyway, so I got off the Metro train, and I first thing I noticed is there was a black guy following me. And I kind of was suspicious about it. So what I did is I walked one direction, and then I turned and walked the other way. And sure enough, he had turned to walk a different direction. He went off one way, and then he was coming back when I came around the corner. So that's one way when you want to find out if somebody's following you, you cut back, and if you walk right past them. Anyway, I'm pretty sure that guy was, and also the look on his face, I looked him in the eyes. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, so then right around that same time, a black car drove by real slow, and I remember noticing the car. Then when I went back the other way, that same car drove by again real slow, and now I knew, okay, something's going on here. So I thought, if that car drives by again, I'll take pictures. So sure enough, by a few minutes later, I was farther down the street, and that black car drives by again. So I pulled out my phone and I took pictures of it. Then he drove back, and right around that time, another guy came from across. Oh yeah, he drove and parked in the Home Depot parking lot, and some other guy comes out from the other side of the street, and he's like doing all these kicks and like karate chop movements and stuff, and he comes over and he picks a fight with me. And I was like, bro, I told him I didn't want to fight, but I was kind of pissed that he was like coming at me, kicking his legs and swinging and doing all this, the kind of movements directed towards me. And then he's like, all right, fine, wrestling only. Well, he shouldn't have said that, because then I was like, wrestling only, really? Anyway, he shouldn't have done that, because we got into it, and he ended up on his back. I ended up on top of him, and then he was trying to put me in an arm bar, which that's not fair, because that's a broken arm right there. So I was on top of him, and I could feel him trying to do this thing where he's bringing his leg up around, and I knew if he got his leg over my head, he could pull me down and break my arm. And so I gouged him so hard, dude. And then he's all struggling to get up. And then we both stood up and we were facing each other. And he's like, you eye poked me. Yeah, he's like, no, that's not wrestling. I was like, bro, you were trying to put me in an arm bar, weren't you? You trying to break my arm. And he was like I knew that was what he was going to do. Anyway, I prayed, dude. Hallelujah. It's like, I don't know why God just anointed me to go after that guy. Because normally I would have just been like, especially after the first fight I was in with the guy that was 6'4" and 250 pounds. That was like good news is I'm wearing shoes today. If I wasn't wearing shoes, I would have run away. Now that's the other thing. If I had clogs on or slides, I'd be like, no, I don't want to fight. No, leave me alone. So it's like, you're darned if you do and you're darned if you don't. If you end up forced into a fight, you definitely want to have shoes on. But then if you're wearing shoes, you're more confident Anyway, that was crazy. So I'm pretty sure, I'm like 99% sure that the County of Los Angeles has somebody that's able to track my movements and has targeted me on the metro, and they're following me when I get on the metro. And they had one guy at the metro that followed me from the metro. Another guy who was driving a black car that drove past me like 3 times, and then I photographed the car. And I'm thinking the car was stolen because it had a funky paint job. And I'm thinking the license plate was also stolen. So I don't think I'm gonna have a real good lead from that. But then I taught this guy a lesson though. He thought he was gonna do some Brazilian arm break on me. And when I sensed that I was on top of him. I took him down pretty fair and square. But when I sensed he was going for an arm bar, I just went straight for his eyes. And when I let him up, he had blood coming off of his eye. And but I didn't have a broken arm, so that's good. So LA is dangerous. God is with me. God's giving me victory over everybody, including the big dogs. I'm talking high level people who are getting sued because of me. And God has this thing called FAFO. God has fuck around and find out too. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, I mean, whatever. I'm glad I was a wrestler in high school. Or either that, I should have been a good runner, right? If you're not a good wrestler, you should be a good runner. Or both. Anyway, I'm not nearly as... I barely got any damage. That doesn't even hurt. But it was still dirty, too. But I'm just letting everybody know and put y'all on notice. You're going to have your asses handed to you if you mess with me. Everyone. It doesn't matter who you are. I think the Chinese are after me, too, now. Because I was on the metro the other day, and there was a Chinese guy, and he was like... He suddenly got on his phone, and he was saying something like, I pay the very best in the industry. I pay the best in the industry. And I was just overhearing his conversation. And I've had Chinese people after me. And if you go to Arcadia, it's Little China. And yeah, dude, it's a war, dude. They're trying to kill Christians here in the United States, just like they did in China and North Korea. I'm just saying. But hey, I'm still alive. Hallelujah. Oh, and I don't have a broken arm. And that I messed up his eye, dude. And I out-wrestled him. So I beat him fair and square in wrestling. And when he went for an arm bar, it was fair and square for me to go for an eye poke. So that was that.